There was, I used to run the Boston Pen Show years ago, and I think the first one started maybe 40 years ago. And my friend Frank Dubiel, the late great Dubuc Frank Dubuc Dubiel, um, ran it with me. And Frank was an acquired taste. You had to you had to just learn to deal with him the way he was. He was a little bit gruff and a little bit weird and a little bit everything else. But he ran a show and wanted it to be for serious pen collectors. And I would always say, well, I want people from the general public to come because that's who I sell pens to, the users and the artists and the writers and the students. And Frank, I mean, who else would buy the pens that Frank had? Frankly, Frank rarely had a pen that a quote serious collector would want. Um, he was like me, sort of a bottom feeder. We liked workable, usable pens, but we didn't want to spend a lot of money on a pen that we would be afraid to use. Now, Frank may have had other means. I mean, we didn't pass up a black giant at a flea market for $10, but we didn't have a collection of really blue chip pens in the biggest sizes and the nicest condition. But anyway, Frank would say, we don't want tourists here. And I was thinking, for God's sake, tourists? I'm imagining the guests in the hotel where we had set up. Honey, what do we do today? Do we see the Constitution or go on the Freedom Trail or go to the Museum of Fine Arts, or do we go to the pen show? No tourist would waste their time at a pen show. Anyway, here's 40 years of collecting brought me this, more or less, this amount of sterling silver overlay Watermans. I have a few more that are in different drawers, but these are the pile that was in the drawer marked Waterman Sterling. And I recently decided that I would maybe try to sell one of these. And I have a new customer I met at the Boston Pen Show half a year ago, and he's very good at calligraphic work. This pen is missing a part. There's a cap, and there must be the rest of it here somewhere. And I let him try some of the sterling overlay pens I had. And of course, my sterling overlay pens have beautiful nibs because these are all in my collection, and he really liked the nibs, but he also decided that he really thought the weight of the sterling overlay was interesting. So he asked me to look for some for him. And I said that they run around, at a pen show, they might be $300 for one that's complete and correct in a standard pattern. But, and he thought that would be okay. And we looked on eBay at past sales, and this number I didn't pull out of a hat. I saw that that's what the pen prices for these things go for. Now I know you and you and you and you and you might think $300 is way too much for a pen, except the sterling silver pen that's on your table is marked $400. So what's up with that? And they'll come up with some sort of line. Oh, this is a very rare pattern, and it looks just like this one. So tell me something else. Anyway, I digress. So And I see Friedrich has arrived, and I asked him to join me, and he's watching. I didn't actually ask him to put on his pants and join me here, but this is often a pants-free channel for those of you that aren't aware. I allow people to be underdressed, shall we say. This is not a formal occasion. Anyway, I just thought, I'm not really a serious collector. Serious collectors, I don't know, what do? They'll look at this pen and they'll tell you exactly when it was made and how many they made and how much they cost. And I mean, is that a serious collector, or is a serious collector have all the different sizes of this pattern on this pen? So they got the short, skinny one to the big, fat one. Or is that a serious collector? They just have more money. I don't think they're more serious. But I've decided that I'm a frivolous collector. I collect things that, on a whim, strike my fancy. And sterling almost always does. But other things do too. And sometimes it's a very humble pen. So I think that I'll never grow up to be a serious pen collector. What are your thoughts? Write your answers below. Friedrich, am I a serious pen collector? I'll see if Friedrich, would you like to join me live or not? Why is this pen here? This needs a barrel. Does this go here? See, this had a trauma to it at one point. That does fit. Sometimes when I have a pen that is missing a cap, I will find a plain, that's too thin. I will find a plain cap and hopefully it will fit, but this is the correct one. You're just a custodian. I prefer the word steward to custodian. A steward of things. It implies custodial is okay too. I guess legally that's used for people. You're the custodian of the young girl who lost her parents in the terrible airplane accident or whatever. You have custodial care. That sort of sounds, though, custodial care sounds like at some point they're going to grow up and move away, where steward sounds like you're going to have them until you die. But I don't know. I'll have to look it up in the dictionary. So I won't go into why I like sterling. Of course I'm going to go into why I like sterling here. We've got sterling pens in front of us. I love the way they tarnish. This one is too shiny. This needs to get knocked around a bit, and this is the newest pen I got on eBay. It was missing its lever, so I put a nickel lever in its place, and you'll see that video if you want to see how I did it the Pierre Gustafson lazy man way. I did no harm, but I was able to affix a workable nickel lever rather than breaking apart. I could have put in a sterling lever, but I'd have to break this apart, or this one, or whatever. This one also has a nickel lever on it. This one I've also repaired in the same way. Friedrich, mentioned he had an item of jewelry that he once wore um, that was made of sterling. Did it tarnish nicely, Friedrich? So anyway, among these pens there are duplicates, and among these duplicates are a pen that I may show the client that was looking for one is coming visiting here on the weekend, and I might sell him the pen, one of the pens, offer him the pen to sell. Because the pen is in my collection and I've been using it for a few days or a few weeks or even a few minutes, sometimes that's enough to take it out of the sale bin and put it in my pocket, as many of you may have seen at the pen show, where I'll do something and I'll go, oh my God. And if Rob Morrison isn't next to me, I'll be able to put it in my pocket. Rob heard me say that once about a flexible Triumph nibbed Schaefer, and I had to sell it to him. It was on my sale table. He said, "Beer, give me that pen." So, and I did it. It was one of those pens that I sold because, if I can't remember I own the fucking thing, maybe I don't deserve to be the steward. Yes, and quite quickly. So let me take out the things that I don't need to consider. And let me take the pencils all out of the running here. Take the gold one out of the running. So let's just take, it was the cutaway overlays that he likes. So let me also take out the other pens that don't belong that aren't duplicates. This is a mismatch. This is the wrong cap for this pen, but it's the right pattern, so I put it together. This needs a longer cap. So this one, I can't sell this one because it's not correct. I can't sell this one because it's not complete. Same with this one. See how easy it is to remove the ones that I can't sell because they're too defective. This is probably the rarest one in the pile. It's a 742.5. So eye drop fill, screw cap, short, half V. It's a weird size though. It's not as short as anyway, take my word for it. It's one of the rarer ones. Friedrich says the favorite overlay is the 13 or 14 smooth sterling overlay. Well, I wish I had one of those. I do have a couple of smooth sterling Watermans, I think. One is the 494 that I have. Okay, this one has a sterling silver lever that was a replacement lever put on correctly after the fact, or it could have been manufactured that way using whatever parts they had left over at the Waterman factory. The clip also looks a little bit more modern. It's a slightly thinner clip than the fat ones that used to be used. So this might be correct. Frank would also say, who knows? They could have made them that way. Yeah, they could have, Frank, but unless you see a catalog, you really can't say that Waterman made that pen or you did just now. This is a 450, 412.5, very thin model. It's just a delight. It's almost too thin to hold, but it's so elegant and lightweight, and it has sterling on it, and it's just beautiful. There's another pencil. Okay, so where are my duplicates? I know I have some, and I just don't know where they are. See, this looks like this has a nickel lever. It seems like I've made a lot of these things in the past, and why not? You know, I could keep them in the junk drawer until I fix them, or I can fix them now and use them. Okay, I think this is one of the ones that could be considered a duplicate. So let's find the other ones that are that. This is not the same size. It is the same size. It's not the same pattern. It is the same pattern. Are these the same, Friedrich? Tell me, are these the same or what? These have bigger cutouts. These might be similar enough. So I'm going to put those over there. It seems to me I have more of those. Here's a lever fill. There are two lever fills. Okay, these are duplicates. .52.5 is the 52.5 is lovely. 52, one of my rarest pens, I think, is a 52.5 Cardinal, which is the red hard rubber. Okay, this is the same as these, except it has a clip. It doesn't have a clip. This is missing its little tab is broken, but otherwise, oh, and it did have a clip at one point. This one did have a clip. It only has part of a clip now. This is another 472. What do you know? Huh. This is a fine silver one with very swoopy Art Nouveau pattern to it. That's rare and somewhat valuable compared to the others. 52V. And here's another one that fits. So it's the same as this. Yes. So it looks like I have 4 pens that are essentially the same. So it seems like I could sell one of these. And I have 2 of these that are essentially the same. So I might be able to sell one of these. I don't want to sell them. There is a pen though that I just put up here in this one. This is another 52.5V. So this is like this is one of ones. This is one that this is among the recent buys. See, they polish them up for eBay. They don't need to do that. They should make them look grungy so the price is low. This is another one of those. I know I had one that I recently bought that had a beautiful monogram on it. Okay, this is a lever fill. So this is similar to, where did I put that one, Friedrich? Didn't I put it over here? Did I put it here? I guess I put it over here. This is another duplicate, I guess. Is this a duplicate? Is this a PSF? Yeah, this is the one that has the raised bumps on it. So that's a different pen than these. Hey, Osni. How are ya? Not a watermelon. Okay, I guess that's it. I have five of a kind, and I've got two of a kind. All the rest are vaguely unique. You're good and happy. Well, what makes you happy today? Okay, I'm going to start playing with some of these pens here. Now for the good fun. Osni is happy. How does one say that in Italian? What's happy in a bene, a what? I did remember the etchings. Did someone buy them, or did you? I can't remember what you said about them. They were book plates, weren't they? Felice. Sono felice oggi. Io sono felice oggi. Oh, as well. Anche? Okay, let me look at your Instagram here. Nello. Pierangeli. Okay, these are the etchings that you posted. Oh, wow. I'm just trying to see what you wrote about them. Oh, you have a beautiful wall pen. Oh, look, you make lines like I do. I think we should go in the wallpaper business. Che faccio? Stupido phone. It has like no battery power whatsoever. Yeah, I know. I'm plugging you in. Oh, well, that's great. So she made him 91 years ago. She must be 150. Oh, I see. She's 91 now. Okay. Read, read correctly what people say. So did you, Nello, do you want me to tell Friedrich what your Instagram account is? This is a tough nib. This one wants you to sort of wants to write like this, but it really likes when you give it a little bit of gas. It has a loud muffler though. That's what this pen does. Yes, it's Nello Pierangeli. How could I not like someone that has my name and an angel next to it? How would that not be possible for me not to like you, Nello? Nello. And also that name is just beautiful. Nello. That's also very springy. Oh, this nib is sort of almost like a stub. In fact, I will keep this here and I'll put it in with my stubs. Okay, does this go with this pen or not? The cap looks shorter. Friedrich, explain it to me. These are all, you just must have made some caps that were a little bit shorter. That's all. A serious collector could tell me the difference. But I want a frivolous answer. Nello. I was watching one of these forensic medicine crime things, and they had a man that they kept on calling Fatty. Fatty said this, and Fatty said that, and Fatty was at the bowling alley when his wife was killed, and all of that kind of stuff. And it turned out his name was Fatty, not Fatty. Fadi. Fatty. So much for that. Different stub. You are currently following Nello. You feel silly. Well, I find it impossible, absolutely impossible, to keep people straight in this world these days because I have like 6 email addresses, and I have 6 email, well, or maybe even more, I don't even know, because I was once stalked and sort of blackmailed by someone, and he kept breaking into my emails. No matter what I did, he would break into my email account and my Apple account, and I talked with Apple and I changed my account password, and within 2 minutes, I changed it over the phone with Apple, and within a few minutes it was broken into. Maybe he broke into the Apple fucking mainframe in order to get to me. But I have so many emails that I can't even keep track of those. I only use really one these days, but one is associated, a different one is associated with my Facebook account, and a different one is associated with my PayPal account. So, and then I've got 2 Instagram accounts. Anyway, it's just a nightmare. But that's all in the past, I hope, and I can move forward and not have to worry. Does this short cap have threads on it? Is that why is it supposed to be a different pen? Who knows? Well, I may end up selling one of these pens, and I may end up selling one of these pens, or I may just keep them all. I just do not know. I don't know my plans. Oh, I may have. There are pens that, when I see a pen like that, and if it's at a pen show, chances are all of the pens at that table are going to be way more expensive than I can afford, and most of the time people that have pens like that wouldn't know what kind of nibs they have, and I essentially buy pens because of their nibs. And so I say, oh, how beautiful, and I walk right past them. So I do have a duplicate. Oh, I don't know. Nello, I need to have you join us sometime. I don't think you have to worry about your English. Your speaking abilities. You seem to write perfectly fine. You could be right here, and it could be aiming at your hand and your pens. What is this, an Edward Todd? I put a very flexible dip pen nib that I had drilled a hole in to make a a Franken pen out of. I don't do that any longer, but I thought it might make them work by doing that. I don't think it really did make them work any better, and I ended up, ruining. I did harm. Well, you could do it. You're at a place now that has internet, and you could bring 2 or 3 pens with you. You don't have to bring all of them. Friedrich, what's this pen? Who made this pen, Friedrich? Gold fill pen pencil combo. We'll test Friedrich's knowledge. That's how the pencil writes. Doesn't have a lever. That's kind of a clue. Hicks, you are right the first time. I bought this at the Philadelphia Pen Show a few years back before COVID hit from the Fountain Pen Hospital. And the threads barely function. And it was very corroded up here, so I just filed this down a bit to make it a little less ugly and to hopefully get a little bit more threading action. One of my favorite Hickses, though, is this one. This does have a lever, but it's so Hicksian. It's like a cartoon lever. This is how a cartoonist would draw a lever on a pen. No detail, just a thing with a thing. And silver section, screw cap. Just amazing. Hicks. You imply you don't know what Hicks is. Hicks are. Hicks made dip pen nibs in the 1800s, and they made every Hicks pen I have is either silver or gold or solid gold, and I think they're all relatively plain in shape. They're shaped like this, sometimes with a pencil at the end. Sometimes they have vertical lines. They might have another pattern, horizontal lines maybe. Seems to me I have a couple more Hickses in the Hicks drawer. And I think Friedrich will correct. Private jeweler that made pens. Yep, I was going to say they were sold like at Tiffany's and places like that. But they did make dip nibs, or someone made them for them. I have them that say Hicks on them. I don't know if Hicks made the nibs or not. But it would be the jeweler, the people that would buy those pens would probably buy them for men because they aren't pretty. They're not girly. So the plainness, Waterman made plain ones too, like this one, but they probably didn't sell very many of them because they had the pretty ones and the nibs as well. Yeah. Most of their nibs in their fountain pens are relatively stiff. They're like a Parker nib, not as stiff as Schaefer. So what am I doing today? I'm going to go outside and draw. When it gets a little bit warmer, it's going to be up to the 50s today, so I'm going to wait until after lunch. to do that, and I'm going to draw the construction that is going on outside. All of my windows, all of the windows in the building, there's construction. I should get an engraver to turn that L into a D. God. Oh, I suppose that's true. I've never really seen any Hicks pens that have external added engraving, though, it seems. But again, if a pen looks too fancy at a pen table, chances are I'm not going to pick it up because I know it's going to be more than I can afford. So, Tina. Oh, my kitty is moving to a higher perch. Which pens will I pick? I don't know what that means. Which to sell, you mean? Which will I pick? Which is the one that I'm going to decide to sell? Oh, I don't know if I can make that decision. I know that these are duplicates. They're the same pattern. This cap is longer though. No, it isn't. It just slides down further. I only have one that has a clip, so I have to keep that one. So it's up to these three then. And one has a nice engraving on it. So I'll probably keep this one because of the rather elaborate engraving. So it might be one of these two. Oh, this one did have a clip and it's missing, but that might not bother my customer. Certainly doesn't bother me. Which pen will bring with you for drawing? Oh, I see. Which will I bring? Actually, today I'm going to draw with Prismacolor pencils. I'm going to make a little animation similar to the one I made that has these things as part of it. Using my snap snap thing. Butch Trucks. So this is the animation. It's going way too fast. Frames per second. Go down to that. What I'm going to do is stream or pick all of the little videos I've made on my iPad and on paper and using pen and ink, and I'm going to splice them all together to make one longer film, which I will have on a loop, which I will show. on this iPad, and I made a frame using cardboard and shipping tape and screening and stuff. So this sort of looks like the building debris that was being torn down, and even the as you can tell, the the screen is cracked, and I have shipping tape holding it together, and that doesn't even bother me. So it's all part of the same thing. So that's my plan, and it'll be, I'll show you what it will look like. And this is going to be the exhibit is called Diversified Portfolios, and I'm asking each person in the building to bring down 2 pieces that will show some aspect of the range that they do in the artwork they do. And, you know, I could show with this one, I could show a portrait that I've done in pencil, or I could show the stuff I do for clients that is about as opposite as I can, because they're very painfully boring. Can I say boring? Okay, where's my loop? Video loop. Choose video. Choose video. Slow-mo, urban sketchers, green, vertical, 50 shades of green. So here was another video I did. Okay, sorry. So here's a video I used for a different show. I had 3 iPads in a large frame that had all sorts of green squares in it, making a sort of big green collage. They were paint samples that I glued together to make this sort of faceted frame that had 3 iPads in it. One was a square opening, and one was a vertical, and one was horizontal, and they all were looping and going on at the same time. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because there's one guy in our building, every time he brings a painting to these shows, they look exactly like the painting he brought the time before. But they're not exactly the same. They are, but his style hasn't changed in 20 years. And that's fine, but he still must have, they're not identical paintings. There is a difference. He must decide he's going to use a different color this time, or a different, his pieces are abstract, non-representational, abstract triangles and stuff. Oh, this is vertical, but pretend it's a square image rather than a vertical one. So it's going to look like this. So it'll be on a loop, so it'll continue to play and play and play until I have to plug it in and overnight and take it home and plug it in and try again. So if this is one of them, this will show my interest in digital art and maybe animation, which I'm enjoying doing, but I don't know how to do it. I mean, I'm not an animator, but I make little animations regardless. I think that's what this will show, and it'll all be the construction things, and that'll be in a loop. And I'll take it off the wall, plug it into the wall to charge up again, and anyway, so that's the plan. Yeah, what's interesting in the right now in the samples, we have a wall that has some samples of some work, and there's one person that does abstract and portraits, but both painting. Another one that paints very realistically, does landscapes and still lifes, and that's closer together still. There's someone that does drawing and collage, and that's sort of two medium, but it yeah, well, thank you, Osni. Yeah. But there is one woman who brought down two pieces to be in this exhibit, and I thought to myself, did I accidentally tell her to bring down two pieces that are as close as they could possibly be? Did she get the wrong memo? And they're two marbled pages made with paper marbling pigments, so they're abstract swirls of color. And one was red and one was blue. Okay, that's different, but it turns out that they're differenter than that. One was done after the paint that is part of the marbling process. The paint started to curdle, and it had a completely different effect. Rather than throwing it out, she decided to do a print of it, and it was really neat that she uh, tried that rather than tossing it out. You know, let's see how this works. So that was an interesting one too. Another person brought down a painting, and then she brought down a corset she made of purple velvet and had flowers on it and all the laces to cinch her already wasp waist into a waspier waist. I don't think she uses the corset to actually compress her body like they used to do. I think it's a corset that's just more decorative than restraining. But she may decide to pick two different things. She was one of the people that helped inspire me to do the show, because she does these beautiful, very playful, brightly colored landscapes and portraits and images. They look almost like they've come out of a nursery rhyme book. There's often animals like a bunny or a mouse or something, and until you read the caption that you discover how perverse and sort of macabre they are. Let me see if I can find an example to show you. So it's sort of a fun thing. Pauline Lim. Me. Images. This is the piece that she's showing right now as a sample. It's quite small. And it's called I Am Possessed. So presumably to possess to eat the Pauline Lim Art and Music. What is Our Life? This one is entitled. They look like They often can look like little jewel boxes. Here's one that has sort of death flying through the air with his scythe. The tooth herd, the toothhead death fairy is never far away. The toothhead death fairy is never far away. This one is called All Wounds Are Healed by Sleep. So anyway, she is really interesting uh, uh, artist, I think. And but in addition to this sort of work, she also has posted on our Facebook group house portraits that she does. She's hired by someone to do a drawing of their house, and it's very straightforward, serious, I guess you would call it, rendition of a house. There's no mice or tooth fairies flying overhead. And I thought that maybe, in addition to the art she does, she might want to show one of those drawings to let visitors know that, gee, let's hire Pauline to draw our house. So that's what I thought. That's what I thought that she might want to do. But some people are. There's another guy that makes collages out of gay porn magazines. Friedrich, calm down, Friedrich. And the ones she does the house portraits, I think, are pen and ink. Maybe pencil, I don't know. But this other guy takes a perfectly good porn magazine. Let's just, so here's a beefcake, doing what beefcakes do, showing their pits and pinching their nipple and big old junk hanging out. And he'll take his razor blade and cut it up into little pieces, and then he weaves these together to create a sort of portrait, which he refers to as old goats. I'll show you one of them here. Hancock and Fellows is his name. And he also draws, but here's one of his old goats. So it's essentially this face with a mustache and a mouth. But if you look hard and closely enough, you might see that there's actually call 1-988 for kink. So there you go. But he weaves these things in and out of each other and makes these faces, but you're looking closely at these things and you can't help but see the lettering and stuff. So then you try to read the lettering, and then you try to look at the pictures, and then the face disappears, and then you see all the parts, and they might be the dirty bits, and then you recoil with horror or move closer and look at every inch of that painting. He also does drawings that are rather nice, but he also designs costumes for a theater. So he included one of the drawings he did for a costume. So again, I'm trying to, on this particular in this particular show, I want to have as many differences as I can, and I may decide to divide the show up. This is my idea of dividing the show up, because it's going to be very diverse. Normally we hang a show where we put pieces that look good next to one another, so that this piece is flanked by two that are nice, and this piece is flanked by that one and a new one. And so we try to make them all look good together with their neighbor. But because of the thing, we're going to hang them this way, and by nature these two things are going to look kind of different. So, and these two are going to look different from each other and different from this. So I thought a way to divide the gallery into groupings would be to say these differences by these artists all deal with subject matter. They can also have different mediums as well, but there's some that will have more than one category, but this one might be just medium. They do the same kind of art. They create figural art by painting or sculpture. So that would be here. But I thought another one could be, work / play, let's say. And it could be, I might be in here where I show, something I do for my 9-to-5 job, which is designing monograms for wedding invitations. And then it might include the stuff I do for fun, like these little video loops, or could be my doodles I make, these kind of things. So there might be work play, there might be scale. You do really big work, but you also do really tiny work. Or there could be a conceptual wall. There's one guy in our building whose work is all over the map, and his work can be sculptural or painting, but it's all very thought-provoking, like 90%, even though they're beautiful to look at and amazing to look at, 90% of them, the art of it happens in your brain when you think about what you're looking at. Yeah, let me find some of Piot. Piotr Parda. Piotr Parda is his artwork. He does beautiful, like you'd like this one, I think, Friedrich. This is a little diorama he made. This is maybe the size of a shoebox or less, and he's used twigs to make antlers on a wall, and he's painted these Corot-like landscapes. Here's another one that he made using, this is maybe a little bigger than a shoebox, because these are actual dials from old watches, I guess, that he's made look like a nuclear reactor. Here's a artist studio. These are little, again, like a shoebox size. But he also is a painter. Oh, here's his apple, bitten apple that will be on the desk at the nuclear power plant. He also has come up with very fun, humorous, I think, images too of animals. And his work, as you can see, it's all so very different. I'm just trying to find some that he's done. He's a very good painter. I think this might be one he did on his iPhone with his finger. But look at his name, Piotr Parda is his name. Parda, Piotr. And his he's originally from Poland. I'm going to see if I can find the pencils he did. Oh, here's a house he made out of dollar bills, folding dollar bills to make a house. Oh, here's a tarantula he made out of drawing pencils, where he's cut the pencil into pieces and hinged them. He's written a couple of books. Here's a painting he did or found. He may have painted this himself. No, he found this painting of a little vase of flowers for decoration only. I also like this little cartoon he made of the American flag going to half staff, and then it just falls off. That was during all of the mass shootings that happened recently. Well, they still keep happening, but he was doing this during the Trump presidency. But, follow him. I think you'd really like his work. One of my favorite things he did, which I don't know if he has it up anymore, it was a YouTube video that was maybe a minute long. And it shows him looking very serious. I don't think he has a tie on, but he has a suit jacket on, I think, and he has glasses. And the camera starts, and he takes his glasses off. He always is looking in the same direction. He doesn't look at the camera at all, but he takes his glasses off, as you might do if you wanted to say something important, or reading glasses, and now he's looking at far away or whatever. He's taking his glasses off, and he holds them here in front of his face. It almost looks like he's looking at them to decide, whether they need cleaning. And he blows into them, and soap bubbles come out because they're not real glass, they're just dipped in soap. And then he puts them back on his face, and he doesn't break a smile, he doesn't do anything, and it's just brilliant. So a lot of his art is about art and the art world and the commercialism of art and the manufacture of art. It's, again, things that make you just need to think a little bit more. Or if you think a little bit more, then you get it a little bit more. I mean, you do that with any piece of art, hopefully. You think a bit. But, if you see a landscape that doesn't have, frolicking nymphs and stuff in it, but it's just a landscape, you can appreciate it more, but it's not the same. You might say, oh, I see that those are oak trees, so now I know they're oak trees, and I appreciate it that much more. And there's a mountain back there, and I look at the title, and it's a view from something or rather, and I might like it a little bit more. But there's a point at which you sort of, you can wonder about the way it was painted, but it sort of stops. Whereas conceptual art it finishes in your head. your brain. So, and that's what his work does, I think. It starts visually. There's usually something about it that makes you look at it a little longer than you might normally look at it, and then you start trying to piece it together in your head. So there's people who might fit in this category. And I've got essentially, I'm no longer a gallery director, but I'm helping the new gallery director with the shows, especially this one, because this was my idea. So, and she calls it a clusterfuck, and she says, "This is your baby. You have to figure out how this is going to work." And I said, "Okay, well, I'm happy to do it." So we essentially have a big long wall, three little walls, sort of a half a wall, another big long wall, and actually there's a wall here and here too, but and then I'm going to build a wall that when it is not used, there's a column right here. When it's not used, it will sit like this. It's 4 feet by 8 feet tall each side. But when we need more space, I'm going to have it work like this in the middle of the room. So it'll look like a demi swastika, I guess. Or it could be arranged like this. So you walk in, you'll see, sort of a couple of pictures on either side of the column. You'll see smaller things here, and then maybe on the inside of this thing there could be lots of very small pictures, and maybe a print rack for things. This could be a cash and carry department, but this wall could also be used to divide. Sometimes these big long walls are hard to hang because it's hard doing that where you're lining up pictures that all look well together. Sometimes you have to break this up. So these walls could serve as sort of a break. They could look like that on either side, just to, hang a piece there and there, but you'd divide these walls into more manageable sizes. But the demi swastika one can hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 large-ish pieces that are 2 or 2.5 feet wide, and they could be double hung. So I think that it would really be a nice way to hang a show that is complicated or has a lot of work in it. But I thought maybe the back wall here, we could have a contest, and I could have interested people bring down 2 other pieces that are really wackily far out from each other, and they could just be randomly put, and you have the person who guesses which 2 artists did the work would win a prize. And I think Piot and I could certainly, our work, the work we do is so completely different. Pauline's work, her paintings look alike. I mean, they're painted in the same way. I don't want to say they look alike, but they're painted in the same manner. But if her painting was here and one of her house portraits was here, no one would know that she did both of them. And I think it would be sort of fun to have this as being part of the exhibit. anything that, causes a little tiny bit of interaction between you and the art by offering a prize would maybe keep people visiting for a little bit. So I think on this wall, Piotr, Piotr's wife Lisa also does a lot of different kind of work. Pauline, if she's willing to go that route. I want to get at least 2 more people in here. Actually, the woman that there's one woman that is showing the 2 pieces that are almost identical. They look almost identical, but one had the curdled thing. She's done lots of different kind of work, and it's very conceptual. See, she would be in the conceptual one, her work, because it's about some other factor that would fit in the conceptual thing. Well, most of these people don't sign their works on the front. I mean, sometimes they do, but many times they don't. I think signing pieces is kind of an old-fashioned way of doing art. I think when people would do these big abstract paintings or non-representational field paintings, you don't want to cover this picture that's all black with a signature. So I think they sort of went out of fashion. Anyway, well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Friedrich, I hope, if you're still in the room, I hope your father is doing as well as he can. And now let's talk about having you be live, or we can even be live just talking face to face on Instagram or something. I think it would be fun. We've known each other long enough not to be shy. So be good, everyone. Bye-bye.